Hello and welcome to the Undead Gaming News Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host, Zombie, and joining me is my co-host, Litchi.
Hello.
Our first story comes from PlayStation, as there has been a new application submitted to trademark the PlayStation Home again. Of course, PlayStation Home was a game from quite a while ago that was a free online social hub available to all PlayStation players that was then shut down in 2015. However, the application that was submitted on July the 21st states that Sony has secured the legal rights to that game's name until October 2028. So it's arousing some rumours that possibly they might be bringing it back. What do you think about that?
I didn't really actually play it when it originally was around. I don't know that a lot of people really played it. Because obviously the objective is obviously you meet other people in the same vein as like how VR chat works, obviously just without the actual having to require VR, is you just meet new people, whereas a lot of people obviously meet their new gaming friends by actually playing games together, not just standing there talking to each other, like you obviously would in Home. I mean, yeah, I think they had like little like mini games in, but obviously I can just go play a fully fledged game with other people, which I think works better. I don't think that just having what is just basically like a 3D chat room really fits, obviously, gamers.
Well, some people might have used it as a way to meet new people, because maybe they didn't have any friends to go play other games with.
Yeah, that's why you play other... Yeah, but, I mean, I have played 3D chat rooms before, and yes, I have met some people on them, but meaningful interactions on there are few and far between. But while you're like, let's say you're in a match in a lot of games allow you to obviously talk to your teammates. You can communicate with your teammates, and you have a shared task. So you have a topic of discussion already to do. I mean, that's obviously how I've met some of that's how I have the majority of the people obviously on my friends list are from playing the games with these people, having a good rapport with them, and then obviously adding them. And then we continue from there, rather than obviously literally going with the express intent of meeting people in a 3D world. Obviously, in the current climate, obviously it allows you to just hang out with your friends. Yeah, we can just casually, rather than obviously going clubbing in real life, I can go clubbing in this game and you have a chat with your friends. But I don't know, no one's really that talkative on there.
Well, apparently, according to the director of the game, in 2011, 22 million users had signed into it. So there is quite a lot of people that went on that game.
Yeah, I signed into it. I'm not saying I haven't used it, I'm just saying it's not the best way to obviously meet people that also play video games.
Well, it's interesting to see what they might do with it anyway.
I did go on there was one on the PS4. Actually, do we know if PlayStation Home's coming to the PS4? Or will they just skip that and then obviously go on to the PS5, because obviously that's out now?
There's no confirmation that they're actually bringing PlayStation Home back. They're just taking the trademark for the name PlayStation Home again until 2028.
Mm-hmm.
So it's aroused speculation that they're possibly bringing the game back, because why else would they need the trademark? But I don't know what system it would be brought to, whether it would be brought to current and next gen or not, or just next gen.
But yeah, I went on one. I don't know if it was made by Sony, but it was on the PS4, and it was based around a theme park. Some of the places weren't actually theme parks, but like the actual like picture for like the actual art for the game is a theme park. But yeah, and then I just had this one girl just chasing me around, going, "Will you be my boyfriend?" It's like, no, I don't know you. That's not how you start a conversation.
It's a Sim's dream.
I don't know, I suspect there was probably a young child, so not exactly my time.
Well, of course. In other news, however, GTA 5 is going to be leaving the Xbox Game Pass. Neither Microsoft nor Rockstar have actually made an official announcement about when it will leave the Game Pass, but it now appears in the Leaving Soon collection for the Game Pass. It is also on sale as well. The premium edition of the game is on sale. So if you want to keep playing after it's gone from the Xbox Game Pass, then I would advise buying it while it's on sale.
You know, for anyone who actually plays Xbox.
Also in the news is a former PlayStation executive who has questioned the Xbox Game Pass model itself. This executive, of course, is Shawn Layden, who during his time at PlayStation held a number of senior roles, including CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment America, VP of Sony Computer Entertainment, and he was also chairman of Worldwide Studios when he departed in 2019. In an interview that was published on Tuesday, he said, "It's very hard to launch a $120 million game on a subscription service that's charging $9.99 a month. You pencil it out and you're going to have 500 million subscribers before you start to recoup on your investment. That's why right now you need to take a loss-leading position to try and grow that base, but still, if you have only 250 million consoles out there, you're not going to get that 500 million subscribers. So how do you circle that square? Nobody's figured that out yet. Of course, if you add mobile phones in, then you get hundreds of millions of players, but those are related but distinct categories. We've learned over time mobile gaming isn't necessarily a gateway into console, but just a different thing for people to do at a different time of day. People don't buy consoles because they want more steel and plastic in the living room. People buy consoles because they want access to the content. If you can find a way to get the content into people's homes without a box, then yes, everyone has a streaming solution of some form. Most of it is limited by whether you have a decent internet connection, and they haven't constructed the business model that works yet for that. What are your thoughts on that statement?
I don't know which part.
Anything.
Obviously, he's right. Yes, if you're obviously making a game, and then obviously Microsoft are giving it to their subscribers for stupidly cheap. Obviously, yeah. As a consumer, you're like, oh yeah, I get all these games. But no, as a dev, yeah, you are making a loss by developing games, obviously for that platform, because making games ain't free. So yes, it will be a while before obviously you actually are in the green and actually making money off the hours of time spent on the game and the amount of money actually spent creating the game. That I completely agree with. I also don't despise the idea of obviously paying a small amount for all these games that would normally cost me like 50 quid.
But one thing that's not mentioned, of course, is the PC subscription side of things, because obviously the Xbox Game Pass is available to PC players as well, which opens up to a lot more people as well.
Yes.
So you could still gain that profit.
I mean, as someone who, let's say I was someone with Game Pass, I don't currently have one. I did, but I don't currently. Obviously, I can, if I have an Xbox, I can get the game for that, and I can also get it for, and also, yes, I also own it for a PC when I want to play on it. But if, as a game dev, I want to say if I want to put things on PC, I would do it on like either the Steam store or the Epic Games store, because then I might actually make money on my investment.
Well, Microsoft have also given a statement about their Xbox Game Pass, because back in June they said that they was working with a global TV manufacturers to embed the Xbox experience directly into internet-connected TVs, and that it's building its own streaming devices to bring cloud gaming to any TV or monitor without the need for a console. And then they quoted as saying, "We like the value that Game Pass is today, and from a business model, it's completely sustainable the way it is." And that was from Phil Spencer, who is Xbox's boss.
So yes, the TV part, obviously, they're trying to get in on like because obviously like Sony make TVs, so you can stream games to that just for having that TV. You can play your PlayStation on that TV. So obviously they're trying to get that kind of thing. I presume the global TV manufacturer them talking to probably wasn't Sony.
Of course not.
But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how successful Sony has been at doing that. I presume if Microsoft are thinking of obviously doing that, maybe they must have been more successful than I'm aware of. I don't know anyone who owns a Sony TV that obviously you can just casually stream to your PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Also, in that same interview with Shawn Layden, he also criticised PlayStation's recent acquisitions, claiming that they're bad for the industry overall, by saying right now, we are narrowing ourselves down into genres and sequels and certain types of games. Favourites like my own, like Parappa and Vibribbon, those things don't get a chance to come out onto stage. That's bad for the industry and for fans. Over time, that leads to a crumbling of the games industry. If we just kept talking to the same people, and telling the same stories in the same way. Consolidation from a bank ledger side of calculation makes sense. Grab up all the resources so the other guy doesn't get it, and put them to the task on the thing that you want to have done, but it takes the variety out of the marketplace. That's my fear, and over time, that is going to create a world of sameness. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously, there's no real reason for obvious. If everything's owned by, if Sony buys up a bunch of companies, there's no real reason for those companies to innovate, to try and compete with their competitors, because they are their own competitor. It doesn't matter what this company does, Sony's getting paid.
Yeah, but these kind of acquisitions also do allow certain development teams to be able to make games that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to make because they didn't have enough money. But now they have this financial backing of Sony, for example.
Correct, but then they're also obviously they are still limited as to what they can make, because it can't go against Sony's values. They are basically caged into, yeah, we'll give you the money, but you have to do as we say. You get money, but you lose your creative freedom.
Speaking of the acquisitions, though, Sony confirmed that the acquisition of Nixxes will in fact bring more PC ports of Sony games. In a recent interview, the current president and CEO of Sony, Jim Ryan, said, "We are also happy with our efforts to provide our IP to PCs, although it is still in its infancy, and we look forward to working with Nixxes to help with that." I mean, it was kind of a given that they was going to be making PC ports since they acquired a company that focuses on doing PC ports.
Yes, well now they confirmed it.
Yes.
It's no longer speculation.
No, it's not hard to put two and two together either. So,
what are you going to play on PC?
Well, that depends on what they bring to PC, doesn't it?
What game that is only on PlayStation do you want to play on PC?
I think maybe Bloodborne would be a good one.
Have they not ported that yet?
No, it's still a PlayStation 4 exclusive. What about you?
I don't know, I could get if they ever bring out, if it's not just ports that they do, of previous titles, if they brought out another God of War, I could play that on PC. If they actually allowed, obviously, for that to come out on PC at the same time.
Well, there is another God of War coming, isn't there?
Yeah.
At some point.
I think Ragnarok.
Yes, but also in the news we have an update from the Activision Blizzard situation, as employees decided to stage a walkout on July the 28th to protest the company's response to the lawsuit. The call for work stoppage comes as an open letter condemning company leadership and calling for compassion for victims. It surpassed 3,000 signatures, and an employee said in a statement, "Given last week's statements from Activision Blizzard Incorporated and their legal counsel regarding the DFEH lawsuit, as well as the subsequent internal statement from Francis Townsend and the many stories shared by the current and former employees of Activision Blizzard, since we believe that our values as employees are not being accurately reflected in the words and actions of our leadership, we call for a stoppage." The call for work stoppage also includes 4 demands that the employees say are required to improve conditions for employees at the company. The 4 demands are as follows. Number 1. An end to mandatory arbitration clauses in all employee contracts, current and future. Arbitration clauses protect abusers and limit the ability of victims to seek restitution. Number 2. The adoption of recruiting and interviewing, hiring and promoting policies designed to improve representation among employees at all levels agreed upon by employees in a company-wide diversity, equity and inclusion organisation. Current practices have led to women in particular, women of colour, transgender women, non-binary people and other marginalised groups that are vulnerable to gender discrimination, not being hired fairly for new roles when compared to men. Number 3. Publication of data on relative compensation, including equity grants and profit sharing, promotion rates, and salary ranges for all employees of all genders and ethnicities at the company. Current practices have led to aforementioned groups not being paid or promoted fairly. Number 4. Empower a company-wide diversity, equity and inclusion task force to hire a third party to audit ABK's reporting structure, HR department and executive staff. It is imperative to identify how current systems have failed to prevent employee harassment and to propose new solutions to address these issues. What are your thoughts on their demands?
Their demands are to do with, specifically, obviously, women of colour, transgender women, non-binary people, and marginalised groups. I'm just going to go with no one should have gender discrimination. No one should be discriminated for any reason.
Well, that's the point.
Yes, but they made the point of obviously pointing out to these specific groups.
Because those groups have been discriminated against.
And which will continue and unless you stop segregating them into different groups. People are people. I don't give a monkeys if you're a woman of colour or a transgender woman. You is person.
Yes, but the point is that those particular people weren't being treated fairly. So they were outlining, treat these people fairly. That's our demand. Treat everyone the same.
I know, I would have just gone with, obviously, being treated fairly regardless of any exterior factors. I wouldn't feel the need to point out the different, to segregate them into different individual groups. The company knows who they have been treated unfairly.
Valentine Powell, who is a software engineer for, I think, World of Warcraft, I'm not 100% sure on that. She is one of more than 300 employees that was involved in organising the protest. And she says, "We know people across the company who have been complaining about these for decades, or who have not been listened to. The lawsuit and the company's response to it was the match that lit the powder keg." Activision Blizzard chose not to respond when requested for comment about the walkout and the demands. However, late on Tuesday, after the announcement of the walkout, the CEO, Bobby Kotick, emailed employees apologising for the company's early response to the lawsuit by saying, "Our initial response to these issues we faced together and to your concerns were quite frankly tone deaf. It is imperative that we all acknowledge all perspectives and experiences and respect the feelings of those who have been mistreated in any way. I'm sorry that we did not provide the right empathy and understanding." He also asked the law firm WilmerHale to conduct a review of the company policies and procedures to ensure that they maintain the best practices to promote a respectful and inclusive workplace. Thoughts?
Shortly before we started, I actually read a conversation about this. Well, obviously they hired a company to investigate them. The outcome is expected to just be, "Oh, we found nothing wrong," which obviously is not the case. So I don't know what the point in bringing in the law firm WilmerHale was to review the company's policies. What's the other person the other company that's investigating them? Why do they not do that?
Well, they're being investigated by the state themselves.
Yeah, so why can't the state themselves do it? Not somebody who's on Blizzard's payroll.
Well, they will. They're going to look at everything. But their main focus is, of course, the allegations and the specific cases of sexual harassment. Whereas this law firm will be focusing on the company policies and making sure that everything is how it should be, which obviously it isn't if people are being discriminated against. So we can only hope that the law firm actually finds fault in the policies and tells them to correct it. Whether they'll listen is a different question.
As long as obviously the law firm themselves are not corrupt.
Yeah, of course. There was also a senior systems designer for World of Warcraft known as Jeff Hamilton, who said, "I find Activision's corporate response wholly unacceptable. I don't stand by it, any of it. It is evil to usurp a victim's story into a rhetorical bludgeon, and it is abhorrent to reply to these accusations with anything other than a well-thought-out plan to correct these abuses. I don't know what to do, I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you that almost no work is being done on World of Warcraft right now while this obscenity plays out, and that benefits nobody. Not the players, not the devs, and not the shareholders."
Yeah, exactly. It's not, like, he even states himself, obviously, it benefit. Us not working is not benefiting anyone. Not the players who obviously pay to be able to play the game, so any bugs and stuff that might arise ain't getting fixed. No new content's coming out, so people may as well obviously stop their subscription if there's nothing new gonna be happening. The developers, obviously, I don't know if it really benefits the developers. In what way does it harm the developers that they don't have to work? Are they not going to get the paycheck?
Well, apparently it was confirmed that during their time of the walkout, they will actually be paid. So
yes, I don't know how they're affected, other than, oh, we don't have to work, but we still get paid.
Possibly because they don't get to get their creative juices flowing and do something. I don't know. I suppose it also doesn't help them in the long run either.
Nope.
Because it will harm business relations between the devs and the actual company itself. So maybe that's his point as well.
Yeah, so in itself, yeah, so they're shooting themselves in the foot and screwing over, I would say, mainly the player base is getting screwed over. The developers, obviously, well, you get time off, you don't have to work, and the shareholders, like, well, obviously they're losing money, because they're like, we give you this money to actually do something with, and then you're not actually doing anything with it, but obviously that money's already there. They were already lost that money, they were just paying for a service, so I'd say it's a minor inconvenience for the developers and shareholders, and, well, realistically, it's a minor inconvenience for the players as well, because they're not exactly, like, bringing out new content normally, like, every day either.
No.
It's like, oh, every few months you'll maybe get, oh, we fixed this bug, or, oh, here's this new content we're working on. We'll give you it in about 6 months.
Yeah, it's just, of course, if you have a problem right now with something to do with the game, then obviously you're probably not going to be able to get it fixed yet. But if Activision Blizzard do eventually make a statement about the walkout or the demands, we'll of course report on that as well. But as of recording, they are currently silent.
Yeah, as in corporate, yeah.
Yes. In other news, however, unfortunately, a games industry veteran has passed away at the age of 53. Ian Richardson, who was a developer and business director at Sumo Digital, who spent 30 years in the industry, has passed away over the weekend, and the cause is being ruled as natural causes. Sumo Digital issued a statement about the news, saying, "To all of our friends in the industry, the terrible news this weekend of the passing of Ian Richardson has hit us hard at Sumo. Sumo lost one of its brightest stars, gone suddenly and far too early. Our thoughts are with his family and those that loved him."
I don't think there's really much I can say about that. I never met the bloke. I presume, based on obviously the statement, I presume he was a decent guy, and obviously spent most of his life actually in the industry. But I've not personally played any of the games. Obviously, he's credited on. He was more like racing games, but just not my thing. But I presume he obviously helped to bring a lot of gamers lots of hours of joy playing those games.
Yep, I did read some of the replies to the statement that Sumo issued on Twitter, and the general consensus, of course, is that he was a very generous and a very kind-hearted person, and he always put other people's happiness ahead of anything else. In lighter news, however, if you're looking for some new games to play, then some new games have come to the PlayStation Store. On the 27th of July, we had Blightbound for the PS4, Clone in the Danger Zone for the PS4, Neo The World Ends With You on the PS4, Nightbook on the PS4, Samurai Warriors 5 for the PS4, Splitgate on the PS4, Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles on the PS5, and then on the 29th of July we had Dreamhouse Days DX on the PS4, Eldest Souls on the PS4 and the PS5, Fuga Melodies of Steel on the PS5, Neon Hat for the PSVR, Omno for the PS4, Paint the Town Red for the PS4, and Skydrift Infinity for the PS4. And then on the 30th of July we had Apple Slash for the PS4 and PS5, Horror Tales The Wine on the PS5 and PS4, Iron Driver on the PS4, and You Are Being Followed on PSVR. Cookie on PS4. If you're looking to pick up a free game instead, however, for PlayStation Plus users, as of the 3rd of August you can grab Hunter's Arena Legends on the PS4 and the PS5, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville on the PS4, Tennis World Tour 2 for the PS4. So PS4 users actually get 3 titles this month, rather than 2, whereas, of course, the PS5 users still get a PS5 version of a game.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weak month in my opinion, but there you go. Other free games, of course, include the Epic Games Store. You have Mother Gunship and Train Sim World 2, which have now replaced last week's Verdun and Defense Grid The Awakening.
I didn't get Verdun. Did you get round to picking up Verdun?
Yes. I claimed both of them last week, and I've already claimed these two as well.
I went to go on Epic, then it wouldn't let me log in, and I just never got around to actually sorting that problem, so I never actually got them.
Well, I'm always signed in, so whenever a new game becomes available for free, it just pops up and tells me. In other news, the PlayStation 5 has hit the 10 million milestone, so it has now sold 10 million consoles. Apparently, the PlayStation 5 hit this milestone under a month faster than the PS4 did. Now, it reached it on July 18th, and I speculate the reason that it reached that milestone quicker than the PS4 did is due to scalpers buying them as soon as they're on sale, every single time, for about a year.
Yeah.
I do wonder exactly how many of the consoles went to actual players rather than scalpers, because I do remember last year there was a very small percentage of consoles that were actually activated out of the consoles that had been sold. So I do wonder how many are activated now compared to how many are sold. That would be a good indication. But I do also know that less scalpers are buying them now, and these days you're competing with other people that want to buy them if you're trying to buy one, because a lot of the online retailers have put in waiting lists so that you can't actually access the sale site until you're granted access, and you're put in a queue. So it makes it harder for scalpers to do that. And that's how I got mine. I was put in a queue.
I see.
And the place I got mine from was actually releasing the stock in droves, so didn't actually drop it all at once. Dropped a certain amount, let them sell out, then dropped the same amount again, and just kept doing that until it was all gone. I'm assuming that was so that they didn't have a server crash or anything. If you are trying to buy one, do be patient, because they might be doing that with you. Any thoughts?
I don't know. It's obviously you think it's faster selling because of scalpers, but didn't they really not actually manufacture enough to actually meet the demand anyway?
Well, they manufactured a lot less than they was hoping to due to, obviously, COVID happening. So they had a lot less to bring to the table on the release day than they wanted to. But of course, scalpers immediately took as many as possible. And then every time new stock was brought in, they were gone by scalpers, and that lasted for about a year straight without any intervention, really. And then websites and online retailers started putting in queues and stuff and trying to block out scalpers and everything. And while, obviously, the manufacturing speed isn't as much as they would like it to be, they're not producing as many as they want to be able to produce because they can't at the moment due to restrictions that they have to be under. More people are actually starting to get them now, which is good. But of course, the CEO of Sony, Jim Ryan, has also said that these shortages are expected to continue, as he's quoted as saying, "We've built more PlayStations faster than we ever have before, which makes me happy, but on the other hand, we are some time from being able to meet all demand that's out there, which makes me feel bad. I want gamers to know that while we continue to face unique challenges throughout the world that affect our industry and many others, improving inventory levels remains a top priority for Sony Interactive Entertainment."
Well, I guess that answers my question on the 10 million obviously sold. How many of those are actually have been obviously manufactured and sent out, and how many of them actually just like pre-orders that are currently still waiting for it? So I'm guessing obviously a good chunk of that will still be, they're still waiting on it to actually arrive.
Well, there's a very high demand at the moment, and there's just not enough consoles at the minute. There would be a lot more consoles in circulation going into the right hands if scalpers weren't taking everything in the first year. So
when I put an order in for a, you know, the new Switch,
the Switch OLED.
Yeah, for my friend, when I put in his order, it only allowed me to order one at a time. I don't know if they do the same thing for the PS5, but I would presume the same company would do the same, obviously, for that. So obviously you can't just buy them in bulk.
Yeah, the place I got my PS5 from was strict with the rules, saying that you could only buy one PS5 per person, and obviously you had the waiting list and everything. But it is also advised to go for bundles when you're trying to buy a PS5, because you increase chance of actually buying one, because scalpers target the console itself because they don't want all the extra stuff, because they can't sell the extra stuff as quick.
Why can't they?
Because people just want the console. People don't really care about all the extra stuff, which is why if you go for the extra stuff when you're just trying to get a console, you have a better chance.
I don't know, I always buy console with something like with a game or something. It's better value for money.
Well, I bought, my bundle was a PS5 with a game and a year's subscription to PlayStation Plus, but they didn't give me the subscription for some reason, so I had to deal with the customer service to get that sorted out, and they ended up giving me the money to buy one instead of just giving me a code. But yeah, that was fine. The customer support was very quick to actually respond, which was surprising. In game trailer news though, we have Glitchpunk, which will be releasing on the 11th of August, and is being developed by Dark Lord, which is probably the best name for a development company I've ever seen. Early access will be on the 11th of August, and it's a top-down cyberpunk type game.
Players will have to there's driving, there's shooting, there's brawling all over this a city. It features some locations like an outpost in Texas, in Neo Tokyo map, Moscow. So we know some kind of obviously places you'll be going. The story will apparently tackle mature themes, so maybe not the best buy for your son or daughter, because it contains themes like transhumanism, xenophobia, and religion, as well as an all-too-human story about a relationship, self-discovery, and betrayal.
Do you have interest in that game?
Yeah, I could give it a play.
Okay. Another game trailer that was released, of course, is a new gameplay trailer, very short gameplay trailer, for Stray. And they've also announced that it will be released early 2022. So, most likely the first quarter of next year. Stray is, of course, a game where you play as a cat.
Yeah, cat simulator.
But it's not quite cat simulator in the way that other simulator games have been in the past, of course, because there's puzzles and quite a unique world, from what I could see. There is a small level of combat that we managed to get from the trailer. There's also a lot of running around and some chase scenes, and yeah, there's people that are robot people with TVs for faces.
They do, yes, they do indeed have like screen faces, but they can play the guitar. There's one randomly playing the guitar, so they're not simple. They clearly have a lot of very advanced finger movement.
Yeah. What were your impressions of that trailer? Is it a game that you're interested in?
Obviously the biggest selling point is, this is cute cat. You buy a game because cute cat. But yeah, obviously, platformers aren't really my thing, and it's a lot of like platforming around because, you're a cat. You're rarely you have a lot of dexterity.
Yeah.
It's a unique sci-fi setting. You don't see a lot of sci-fi settings where like, what if sci-fi, but you were a cat? Never see cats in sci-fi, do you?
Unless it's a black cat that's just kind of there.
But yeah, probably an amusing game. This, on the other hand, don't quote me on this, but it might be alright. Obviously, for kids to play, because they get to play with a cute kitty for hours, and from what I can tell, there doesn't seem to be there's no adult themes. Even the enemies themselves are just like little puffballs. Obviously, something being cute doesn't mean it can obviously hurt you, because they're very similar to like fluffy little urchin things, and obviously you step on an urchin, you get poisoned.
Well, Stray has been rated by Peggy as 12 and up, so teenagers can play the game, at the very least. In other news, however, Pokemon Unite has now been released. Pokemon Unite, of course, is a free-to-play MOBA. However, some people have criticised it because there is a definite pay-to-win aspect in the game. There's also a battle pass type system as well, I think. There is like gems or something in the game where you use those to level yourself up, and those are actually able to be bought with real money, which is not great when other people are trying to earn them. Just gives people an unfair advantage if they've got more money to spend.
As far as I'm aware, the only stuff you get for like leveling up is, from what I've seen, it's just like cosmetics, or maybe you'll get a new character. It's nothing that obviously other people can't get. Like, I've watched my friend play it. He's all unlocked as, it's a new hat for his trainer. We got there was a one of the people had a hat on a Pikachu.
Yeah, but as you level up, your attack power will increase, so therefore you'll be stronger in battle.
Yeah, in the actual match, yeah, you level up, but that's not the same as your player level. Your player level, you unlock things for leveling up, whereas the character's level is obviously reset every match. At the start of match, you're level 1. As the match progresses, you level up the same as every other MOBA. But only this time, obviously, if you play as a, like, not necessarily a baby Pokemon, but like the example that you're given, like you can have right at the beginning of the game, is you can have a Charmander, and as he levels up, I think it's like level 10 he becomes Charmeleon, then when he gets to like level 20, he becomes Charizard. So yeah, you become more powerful in game as you level up. As far as I'm aware, surely the paid feature you can use the stuff to level up is for your player level, which is in relation to like the battle pass kind of thing, in that, oh, you have reached this level, so here's this cosmetic. And although I do think at some points you do unlock access to new characters, like I think at level 5, I think you get Venusaur, so now you can play as Venusaur, but obviously the Charizard you already have. So as far as I'm aware, in that regard, it's not helping you actually in battle, other than you get more variety of obviously choice quicker. But yes, there are some items you can buy with that currency that in the shop that do give you an unfair advantage, because it takes time to obviously earn that money in game to be able to buy that. Like there was a hat that reflects like 30% of the damage you take back to the enemy.
So if you're interested in Pokemon and MOBA games, then you can play Pokemon Unite now for free on Nintendo Switch, Android and iOS. In other news, we have an update for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which will now provide 4K resolution and 60 frames per second if you choose to play the game on a PS5.
I've not played Shadow yet, but I mean it would have been nice to obviously get the 4K support and 60 frames on my Pro. Would have been nice, like other games have done, because Shadow of Tomb Raider is not exactly like just come out. It's a few years old at this point, but it's marked as it's optimized for the Series X and S on the Xbox Store, and got a boost from Microsoft's FPS boost.
Yeah, well, it now offers 4K resolution and 60 frames per second on PS5. I do think that they should probably offer that to PlayStation 4 Pro as well, because it should be capable of handling that.
Oh, the 60 frames I'm not sure about, but at least give me the choice. Do I want to play this game in 4K or 60 frames? One of the two would be nice.
Kind of like a performance mode or resolution mode that we have on PS5.
I think there is something like that on the Pro, but I presume it's not as advanced as what's obviously on the 5. I think it's like kind of like them testing out the waters on the Pro before they've released the final like mode on the PS5.
Yeah, that would make sense. From my experience with it, you have the basic option on the actual system itself, so you'll tell the system what you want it to focus on, and then with certain games, it's not with every game, but with certain games in the options menu, it does actually ask you for your choice for that particular game as well. Like, I think it offered you that choice with Spider-Man Miles Morales, for example.
Yeah.
Although it actually offered 3 different options, because the performance, or was it resolution? It was resolution or performance that had 2. Because one of them offered ray tracing and the other one was the same but without ray tracing.
I don't know, obviously it could be either. If you click with resolution, obviously, yeah, ray tracing makes it look better, but if it's performance...
I think it was resolution, which is just 4K, resolution pro, which is 4K with ray tracing, and then performance, which is 60 frames per second.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wait, so there wasn't an option to have everything? You have to choose the resolution or 60?
Well, you're choosing what you focus on. So if you chose the resolution, for example, like I did with the ray tracing, then it will focus on making sure everything looks the best and gives you the best ray tracing, and the frames will be like a sub-focus, so it will aim for 60, but if it has to reduce the visual quality to keep it at 60, then it won't do that. It'll let the frame drop a little bit to maintain the best looking version possible, because that's what you chose it to do. But if you choose it to focus on performance and the frames, then it'll obviously drop the quality slightly so that it can maintain the frames. In other news, Kenna Bridge of Spirits has been delayed. The Ember Team Lab has delayed the game from August the 28th to September the 21st, and they released a statement saying, "We have made the difficult decision to delay the release of Kenna until September 21st to polish the game across all platforms. The team has been working extremely hard, and we feel the extra time is critical to ensure the best experience possible. We know many of you are eager to play, and we appreciate your patience as the team continues to work on delivering the best version of Kenna. Thank you for your amazing support." What do you think of a game being delayed for a month?
Just a month. That's pretty short considering last year and this year we just had, this game's been delayed for 3 months. This game's delayed for 6 months. This game won't be out until the same release date, but next year. So a month, no, that's nothing. A flyby.
Yeah, if all they need to do is just polish some stuff up to make sure it runs smoothly on everything, then I personally don't have a problem with that. I don't really have a problem with delays in general, because it means that they are actively seeking out more time to make sure that the game works right and is bug-free as much as possible, and that it's how they want it to be. But that just about does it for the news this week. So thanks again for joining us for another podcast, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.